Vanquisher is to be sold for 2,000 points in the store. My goddess just gave it to someone like that. Evan Zhao saved her twice. It is also appropriate to give back a little gift. A dozen minutes later, the two of them arrived at the building where the computer room was located. Found the computer room. Evan Zhao pulled out his gun and fired at the door lock. Then the door lock fell to the ground with a clatter. The scene inside also entered the two people's eyes. Having learned from the last lesson, Evan Zhao asked Linnea Yang to keep watch at the door. He then strode in himself. Then he used the internet to search for information about Qinshan online. Watching him frantically typing on the keyboard, Linnea Yang couldn't help but ask, "How is it going?" Evan Zhao replied with an overcast expression. "That person has a very influential background. The information online has been blocked and cleaned up. But it's okay, he can access the Black Sea for inquiries himself." Upon hearing this, Linnea Yang was a little confused. "What is the Black Sea?" Evan Zhao explained that it is the internet's junkyard. Generally speaking, information on the internet is not completely deleted. All data that has ever appeared, when cleared, the code will be placed in the Black Sea. However, entering the secret chamber in the Black Sea is very troublesome. It requires compiling, trial and error, modification, and then logging in. Linnea Yang looked at him with some confusion. "Were you a hacker before? Why do you understand so much?" Evan Zhao responded seriously after listening. "I am a psychologist, but my mind can communicate with data. I had a patient before who was a hacker. He suffered from extremely severe delusions. He used to tell me every day that he could inject his mind into the internet, to swim in the boundless ocean of code. At first, he wandered around the virtual world by himself. After a period of treatment, we were finally able to enter the virtual world together to play." Linnea Yang looked confused when she heard this. The barrage in the live stream room was filled with comments and laughter. "So, it turns out it was you who received treatment. I knew this person had some mental issues. Could it be that staying with mentally ill patients for too long has rubbed off on him? Didn't you check his information? Evan Zhao must be joking. He is a mental illness patient." Linnea Yang then curiously asked, "What happened next?" Evan Zhao sighed helplessly. "Later, there was only me left inside because I cured his delusional disorder." Linnea Yang was speechless after listening. "I didn't expect you to really make a joke. I almost believed it." At this moment, Evan Zhao suddenly brightened up. Then he snapped his fingers, indicating that he logged in. Linnea Yang was suddenly extremely surprised after hearing this. The computer still displays the previous interface. Could it be that his mind can really communicate with the data? But what Evan Zhao saw in front of him was completely different. A vast amount of information rushed into his mind in an instant. Qinshan's mother. An accident occurred due to a dispute with the homeroom teacher of Class 8 of Stonehill High School. She fell from the third-floor corridor. Resuscitation was unsuccessful, and she passed away on August 13, 2032. Cause of death: severe brain damage. She was holding a kitchen knife. She used it to split the head of homeroom teacher Ming Liang into two halves on date. After the incident, she escaped from the school. Since then, Qinshan has completely disappeared from the human world. Meanwhile, teachers and students at Stonehill High School also began to mysteriously disappear one after another within a month, with none spared. During this period, a large number of police officers were dispatched from City A to search Stonehill High School, but they found nothing. Upon hearing Evan Zhao's account, Linnea Yang suddenly remembered something. August 13, 2032 is a week before August 20th, and another month after that is September 20th. Isn't that the day our main quest ends? Evan Zhao nodded in response. Yes, the electronic calendar in the classroom during the daytime showed the date as 3032. In other words, we have returned to the last 7 days when the curse occurred. No wonder the class roster only goes up to September 19th. Your guess is correct. Everyone will die on September 20th. Linnea Yang couldn't help but feel a little discouraged when she realized this. She had obtained the class roster, thinking she was just one step away from making it through this inferno difficulty dungeon. I was so foolish. Upon seeing her dismayed expression, Evan Zhao spoke up to console her. Fortunately, today is only the first day. We still have plenty of time. From the current situation, as long as one follows Evan Zhao, the chance of surviving is still high. Linnea Yang took a deep breath and rallied herself. We still have a chance. I must pull myself together. At this moment, the sky gradually brightened a bit. A light mist spread from somewhere unknown. Linnea Yang keenly sensed that something was not right. Evan Zhao started to fog up. Upon hearing this, Evan Zhao turned his head in confusion. Realizing the danger, he immediately shut down the computer, restored to its original state. Then he dashed to the door at an extremely fast speed. He grabbed Linnea Yang's hand and ran away into the distance. Run faster. There's something wrong with this fog. The man dragged the girl's hand and ran frantically. But the mysterious haunted fog behind them is relentless. This kind of haunted fog can constantly devour people's spirit points, until it turns them completely into a terrifying fiend. Linnea Yang feels dazed and confused. She bit her tongue quickly in order to stay alive. The intense pain and the taste of blood in her mouth barely helped her keep her sanity. But it seemed to be of little use. Evan Zhao could see that she was on the verge of collapsing. So he immediately pulled her and ran towards the water tower in the distance. Originally he was planning to go back to the dormitory, but he had to choose to hide inside the water tower. The first floor of the water tower was locked with an iron gate. Fortunately, Linnea Yang had given him a hunting rifle earlier. As the bullets whistled out, the iron chain fell to the ground with a loud bang. Evan Zhao quickly pulled her inside. After settling Linnea Yang, he found some things to block the iron gate. He waited until he was sure the fog outside had not seeped in. Evan Zhao finally stopped his movement. By now, the fog was getting thicker. Some data related to the thick fog also appeared in front of Evan Zhao. Ding fog advanced danger has many eerie things inside. If you don't want to encounter them, it's best to find a shelter quickly and hide. Once the fog dissipates, Linnea Yang's spirits began to recover somewhat. Although her face is still pale, her eyes have regained their luster. Thank you for saving my life again. Upon hearing Linnea Yang's grateful words, Evan Zhao, who had intended to speak, suddenly noticed something unusual. He pulled out a hunting rifle, aimed at the direction behind Linnea Yang, and shouted, "Come out!" I'll say this only once. Linnea Yang, seeing the situation, asked anxiously what was going on. Suddenly there came a rustling sound from the darkness behind. Seeing this scene, Linnea Yang was instantly frightened. Immediately after, a disheveled man crawled out from the pile of debris. The man raised his hands and smiled with a full face. "Don't kill me! I'm not a bad person." Linnea Yang hurriedly hid behind Evan Zhao. Warning: low-level danger. Congratulations. You actually found a living person in a ghost school. But there is no reward. At this sight, Evan Zhao slowly withdrew the shotgun in his hand. Then he asked cautiously, "Who are you?" The man sighed and replied, "It's a long story. It's not safe here. Something terrifying is about to come in. Let me take you to the basement first." The man finished speaking and then moved away the square tile under his feet. He didn't relax until they entered the basement. Introduce myself. My name is Sheng Li and I am a mysterious event investigator at the original A City Police Department. Here is my ID. Evan Zhao then carefully examined it. Then they introduced themselves to each other. Are you alone? Evan Zhao ran his finger along the corner of the desk lamp and asked. Sheng Li sighed as he sat on the old sofa. It was not long ago, about 3 months. The police had been eyeing the students at Stonehill High School. Teachers mysteriously disappeared one after another. The police and city immobilized a large number of personnel, but to no avail. Under mounting public pressure, the mayor had no choice but to reach out to us. After making preparations, I led the special task force to this school to participate in the investigation. We encountered unexpected strange occurrences. The mobile task force that came to investigate actually consisted of a total of 27 people. But that day, there happened to be fog at the school as well. These people were attacked by terrifying unidentified creatures in the fog. Fully armed, they were almost wiped out without even seeing what the other side looked like. Only 7 people were left in this school, lingering on. 27 people went to Ghost School to investigate the disappearance. But they were attacked by the terrifying haunted fog as soon as they arrived. Fully armed, they didn't even see what the other side looked like before they were almost wiped out. Finally, Captain Shun Li escaped into the teaching building with only 6 remaining team members and narrowly escaped disaster. But when the fog cleared, they found that they couldn't get out of the school at all. Outside the school gate was all filled with terrifying thick fog. The 7 of them could only be trapped in the eerie school. They could only struggle to survive. After listening to these narratives, Evan Zhao curiously looked at him and asked bluntly, "Where are your 6 teammates?" Shun Li replied with a dark expression, "They are all dead." Upon hearing these words, Evan Zhao continued to ask, "According to what you said, you have been in school for at least 3 months. What do you usually eat?" Once this was said, Shun Li's face looked even worse. "Can we not talk about this?" Evan Zhao seemed to understand everything at a glance. Just at this moment, above their heads, suddenly came the eerie sound of footsteps. The ground at the entrance, like an old machine, seemed to come to life again, making creaking noises. This was followed by a dense and chaotic shuffle of footsteps that sent shivers down their spines. The dim ceiling lamp began to sway from side to side. Evan Zhao quickly signaled to the 2 people not to speak. Nervously, he tightly gripped the hunting rifle in his hand. None of the 3 dared to breathe. They listened carefully to the footsteps above their heads. They found it hard to imagine what kind of fiend might be above them. The fiend wandered back and forth for a long time before finally leaving. At this point, the few people finally heaved a long sigh of relief. Shun Li quietly explained that he had also discovered the shelter not long ago. Otherwise, he would have died long ago. Just as the words were spoken, Evan Zhao was suddenly bombarded with a few system messages. Player Toby was assimilated into a dungeon fiend due to low spiritual power. Player Liam Bai was attacked by an unknown creature and has died. Congratulations to player Evan Zhao for triggering the side quest to investigate the truth behind Stonehill High School. The quest rewards a rating of 1. Lene Yang also received the message. She covered her mouth in disbelief, while Evan Zhao remained very composed. Then he curiously looked at Shun Li, who has been living on this university campus for 3 months. "Have you encountered anything scary?" Shun Li chuckled bitterly at the words. "How could I not have encountered any? Let me tell you. Stonehill High School is caught in a terrifying cycle of curses. These zombie-like school staff will all die one after another within 7 days. Then they will be reborn again, repeating the cycle of death. The further it goes, the more frightening things will happen." Shun Li couldn't help trembling as he said this. "I've seen it with my own eyes. The last time on the 7th day of the cycle of curses. All the teachers and students in the school carried their own bloody heads, patrolling in every corner of the campus." Lene Yang quickly asked, "Then how did you manage to stay safe and escape? Since you managed to survive for 3 months inside this university, can you help us survive for 7 days?" Shun Li sighed helplessly after hearing that. "I escaped to the water tower at that time. By chance, I discovered this basement. That's how I managed to escape a disaster." Lene Yang was extremely excited after hearing that. "I understand. The water tower must be a hidden safe zone. As long as we stay in this place and don't run around, we can survive for 7 days." Upon hearing this, Shun Li frowned and sighed again with a worried expression. "Things are probably more complicated than you think. The curse of this school is expanding continuously. The water tower was indeed safe before, The haunted fog outside would ignore this area, not even sparing a glance at the water tower. But later, they started to linger outside the water tower. Then, they would knock on the door to see if anyone was inside the room. After that, they simply forced their way into the water tower to search everything here. On the 7th day of the last cycle, I hid in the basement and almost got exposed. This time we are still hiding in the basement. Just afraid. Shung-Li suddenly closed his mouth. Because the footsteps above were sounding again at this time, and this time, they were even more frequent. These footsteps clearly belong to more than one fiend. Once they are exposed, it will be like fish in a barrel doomed to die. The ground was filled with banging impact sounds. The chilling sensation made several people's hair stand on end. Evan Zhao realized that something was not right. He quickly picked up the ladder and placed it under the entrance tile. Underneath that brick at the entrance, there was no connection. The sound of tapping was hollow. It needs to be pressed against. It made the tile sound the same as the others. Evan Zhao finished speaking and pressed his body against the tile. And Linnea Yang and Shung-Li also carefully held onto the ladder. Ghost is just suspicious at the moment. It is not confirmed that there is a secret room below. Even though knocking through a thick layer of floor tiles, it still shook Evan Zhao all over in convulsions. All three of them gritted their teeth and supported themselves firmly, not daring to relax in the slightest. Until the ghost knocked for a while, confirming everything was fine before leaving. Shung-Li panted heavily with a lingering fear in his heart. See, I told you. The tower is no longer safe. Want to survive the next cycle of curses? We either find the next shelter or break the curse. Evan Zhao glanced at him casually without speaking. Linnea Yang, on the other hand, brightened up upon hearing this. Breaking the curse. Do you know how to break the curse? Three people huddled in the basement, trembling with fear. Because the terrifying ghost above is searching for them. Once exposed, they are doomed without a doubt, like sitting ducks in a barrel. The only way for them to escape is to break the ancestral curse of this ghost school. Linnea Yang asked in confusion about how to lift the curse. Shung-Li remained silent for a moment before saying he knew a way, but it would be extremely difficult to carry out. He said he couldn't do it alone and needed help. Upon hearing this, Linnea Yang said, "We can help you." Shung-Li gritted his teeth and said, "I trust you guys. Anyway, continuing like this is a dead end. It's better to take a risk. After our previous research and investigation, we found that the curse of reincarnation at this university began with a student. That student's name is Qinshin, and he is a poor student. At the beginning, his days were relatively alright. But later, his father was working in the mines back in their hometown and got buried inside, ending up dead. The coal boss ran away and didn't compensate a penny, leaving the mother and son to rely on each other for survival. The mother is disabled and can only rely on tailoring to support their livelihood. Fortunately, Qinshin has been ambitious since childhood. They achieved outstanding academic results, got accepted into Stonehill High School, and received a large scholarship. Originally, this was the cradle nurturing his dreams. Unfortunately, an unexpected incident occurred. His desk mate is called Eva Zhang. She has good grades and looks pretty. As they spent more time together, Qinshin became infatuated with her madly. Later, a transfer student named Xiaopeng came to the class. He was the son of the mayor. He also fell in love with Eva Zhang and directly asked the homeroom teacher to exchange his seat with Qinshin. So, the person with the best grades in the class ended up sitting in the back row. Qinshin knew about his family's poverty and endured it silently. But one time he saw Xiaopeng reaching into Eva Zhang's clothes, and Eva Zhang didn't dare to resist. He finally couldn't hold back the anger in his heart. Out of revenge, he bribed several classmates with poor family backgrounds using his own scholarship fund. One night, they dragged Xiaopeng into a small forest and gave him a brutal beating. But all of this was captured by surveillance cameras. Unable to withstand interrogation, they confessed and implicated Qinshin. Quinn Chen was then ordered to drop out of school. Quinn Chen's mother later came to Stone Hill High School to plead with the class teacher for mercy. In the midst of the argument, the class teacher accidentally pushed her down the stairs. You can probably guess what happened next. Quinn Chen's mother's death was used to manipulate and pressure them. A few days later, Quinn Chen sneaked into the university alone. They used a kitchen knife to end their homeroom teacher's life before escaping without a trace. Speaking of this, Shun-Li suddenly paused. In fact, this is just the information from the outside world. In reality, Quinn Chen never ran away. They passed away in the university. They passed away in the underground parking garage in Block B. Because their resentment was too deep, it affected the entire university. And the way to break the curse is to destroy their corpse. When we first entered the university, we brought a very powerful weapon. But before we had a chance to use it, we were attacked. The item was left in the underground garage in the West Campus. Inside a vertical shaft with the words, "Dirty Flame," written on it. That particular weapon requires identity recognition. But it won't take too long. As long as you can help me attract Quinn Chen Spirit's attention, I will be able to activate the weapon soon. Destroy Quinn Chen's corpse. I only need 3 minutes. Linnea Yang looked at Evan Zhao after listening to these inquiries. Do you think we should help him? Evan Zhao pondered for a moment, and then said he could help. When should we take action? Shun-Li saw it. The other party agrees, and a smile immediately appears on their face. It's too late for tonight. You guys will come to the water tower here tomorrow evening. I will take you to the underground parking garage in the Western District. 3 people were trapped in the terrifying ghost school. They must destroy the vengeful ghost inside in order to break the curse. In order to escape safely from here, they have made a plan and agreed to take action the next evening. The time quickly arrived for the next day. Evan Zhao and Linnea Yang came to the cafeteria, waiting for the night to fall. With the help of the roster, they managed to safely survive until the end in the classroom. Evan Zhao was scooping rice into his mouth while asking if the other person had any fishing line, as long as it was thin, long and strong enough. Linnea Yang is a bit puzzled about what it's for. Evan Zhao calmly said 2 words. Murder. Upon hearing this, Linnea Yang was momentarily stunned and asked, Kill who? Evan Zhao lifted his head and looked at her seriously. Shun-Li. Seeing that the other party didn't seem to be joking, Linnea Yang panicked and asked Shun-Li who could help us break the curse. Evan Zhao chuckled after listening. If you are still hoping for him to help us break the curse, then we are really close to death. Upon hearing this, Linnea Yang quietly approached and asked him in a low voice, What does that mean? Evan Zhao pondered for a moment and then explained, Firstly, he is just an investigator, not a student from Class 18. Don't you think his description of Quinn Chen is too detailed? He even knows about Quinn Chen seeing the mayor's son, Xiao Peng, reaching into Eva Zhang's clothes. Second, these 3 individuals are not in the student roster. If things are exactly as described by Shun-Li, then I believe Quinn Chen possesses the ability to plunge the entire school into a mysterious power. Would he let Xiao Peng and Eva Zhang go? At the very least, he won't let Xiao Peng go. The 3rd underground chamber of that water tower was not something he stumbled upon by chance. I even suspect that he built it himself. Linnea Yang heard this with some disbelief. This is not very likely, right? The curse of this school has already spread to most corners. Where did he find the time to build such a large basement in front of so many vengeful ghosts? Just as the words fell, Evan Zhao expressed his opinion. There is no dust inside the underground basement. Yesterday I deliberately tried many corners. Lampstands, sofas, even those obstacles have almost no dust. And they are very clean. The basement is generally not cleaned by people. It must be regularly inhabited to be this clean, as you said. After the ancestral curse happened, it is almost impossible to build a basement on the face of a vengeful ghost. So, the basement can only have been built by him before the curse happened. Linnea Yang stunned everyone with her remarks. The other party's observation skills are simply terrifying. Yes, what is his purpose if he deceived us? Evan Zhao went on to explain that in psychology, purposeful lies are often a mix of truth and falsehood. In order to make the lie more logical and realistic, it often needs to include some elements of truth. For example, it is very likely that in the underground parking lot in the West District, even if Qinshan doesn't have a vengeful ghost attitude, there are definitely dangers that we can't imagine. And Shengli really wants to enter that stairwell with a filthy fire written on it. But once he goes in, he won't come out again. So that's why he lied. He wants us to risk our lives to lure the ghost outside for him. Evan Zhao analyzed it layer by layer, making Linnea Yang completely believe his words. Then she took out the fishing line from the storage space. After handing it over to the other party, Linnea Yang asked herself what she should do next. Evan Zhao gestured that she didn't need to do anything. Whether it would be successful would depend on tonight's attempt. If we are lucky, we can break the curse tonight. As the sky darkens, Shengli is pacing back and forth at the door. His eyes light up as he sees the two of you arriving. Why did you come so slowly? Let's go scout the area quickly. We don't have much time left. At midnight, those ghosts will once again permeate the campus, every corner. Evan Zhao nodded in agreement after listening. Let's go scout the area now. The three of them then sneakily headed towards the underground parking lot in the west area. Shengli explained. The west area underground parking lot has a total of 3 entrances. That ghost is lingering in area C. His plan is this. The two of you enter through the C door. Intentionally make a noise to attract the ghost. Then you both escape from the other 2 doors separately. Let the ghost chase you out of the parking lot. I will be lurking here. When you distract the ghost, I will immediately go in and activate the weapon. Sheng Li's manner exhibited an unnatural excitement as he spoke. Evan Zhao, upon witnessing this scene, became even more certain of his own speculation. However, he remained calm and started to take action without revealing his emotions. When passing by a corner, Evan Zhao took out a grenade and tied it to the iron pole at the entrance. The loop on top is connected to a fishing line that is almost invisible in the darkness. The other end of the line is hidden in his sleeve. The three of them are preparing to escape to the underground parking lot to lure out the vengeful spirit inside the ghost school. After the plan was finalized, they began to take action. Evan Zhao and Linnea Yang cautiously felt their way forward. Sheng Li outside the door is extremely nervous. Since that incident, there have been unexpected occurrences. He has been barely surviving in this ghost school for several months. His companions are dwindling, and the food supply is running low. Whether he can survive will depend on this latest attempt. The two soon arrived at the interior of the underground garage. Their gaze swept over restless ghosts wandering everywhere. Evan Zhao asked Linnea Yang to wait in place. He quietly approached them. As the distance closed, the red light in his eyes grew stronger. There was even a faint red glow in his eyes. Error: the source code of player Evan Zhao is out of order. Trying to fix it. Fix failed. The icy voice kept repeating in his mind. The originally dark, invisible areas all became apparent in Evan Zhao's eyes. At this moment, he seemed to be placed in a god's perspective. Everything in the underground parking lot was visible to him, including the terrifying figure hidden in the corner. The erratic quantum state is extremely dangerous. It moves at an extremely fast speed and can traverse most obstacles. Its attacks are incredibly strong, and you cannot resist them. It behaves by massacring any living beings it sees, prioritizing units that make loud noises. Weakness 1. Schrodinger's cat. Weakness 2. Entity. After receiving this data, the red light in Evan Zhao's eyes slowly dissipated. He lost focus for a few seconds before his pupils lit up with vitality once again. He immediately ran back towards the fork in the road with Linnea Yang. After the two of them hid, Evan Zhao then picked up his phone and sent a message to the other party with an "Okay." And Sheng Li also replied with an Okay. In the darkness, a sinister smile appeared on his face. Blame your bad luck if you must. How can one easily believe the words of a stranger? On the other side, a trace of smirk appeared on Evan Zhao's lips. The next moment, he suddenly pulled the fishing line in his hand. The originally barely visible fishing line suddenly went straight, just as Shang Li was about to act. The sound of the pull ring disconnecting from the hand grenade followed. With a loud bang, the fire burst into flames instantly. The violent roar spread throughout the entire underground parking lot. Shang Li was directly hit by the terrifying impact and thrown against the nearby wall. He didn't have time to think about what had happened. His gaze caught sight of a terrifying dark shadow flying towards this direction in the distance. Fuck! His adrenaline surged instantaneously, causing great alarm in his heart. He immediately fled from Area C with a sense of embarrassment, accompanied by a dark shadow. Evan Zhao noticed this, and went to the vertical well with filthy marks along with Linnea Yang. On the way, Linnea Yang was curious. Isn't he a newcomer? Where did he get the points to buy grenades? Evan Zhao replied nonchalantly. I used to have a patient who was an arms dealer. I cured his homicidal tendencies. So he gave me a case of hand grenades as a reward. I like to carry a few grenades on me when I have free time. When I'm bored, I take them out and admire them. Upon hearing this, Linnea Yang was instantly confused. After they pried open the manhole cover, she took out a flashlight and handed it to Evan Zhao to open. The flashlight shone brightly on the well wall. There was no filth or dust. The smooth alloy wall reflected the light of the flashlight. At the bottom, they found that ahead was a dead end. In the middle, there was a red button. If he guessed right, this button would be an elevator. Evan Zhao pressed it immediately. The elevator door then slowly opened. As the two entered, the elevator started to operate smoothly. The descent process lasted a full 3 minutes. What appeared in front of the two next was a long and narrow pure white corridor. The sheer shock. It is already impossible to describe Linnea Yang's current mood. Who could have imagined that hundreds of meters underground in a university, there would be such a building? Evan Zhao guessed that this should be some strange experimental base. Because since meeting with the principal, he has vaguely felt that something is wrong. Generally speaking, the more powerful ghosts are, the attacks tend to be more idealistic. Ordinary means are hard to resist. However, based on the experiences of 2 dungeons, it was discovered. Although the boss is powerful, its attack methods are completely physical in nature. This indicates that the principal is not a ghost, but some kind of fiend. Obviously, the Cursed School of Horror is not just a pure supernatural dungeon. Its worldview is even bigger than expected. When Evan Zhao mentioned this, it seemed like he had a very pleased expression on his face. Just then, Linnea Yang quickly gestured for him to look ahead. Several research personnel in special suits were lying in the corridor. Their corpses were torn and mangled, as if they had been bitten by a large wild beast. They were trying to escape from this terrifying ghost school. The two had no choice but to come to the laboratory located 100 meters underground. As they continued to explore further, the secret hidden behind Ghost School is gradually being revealed. At this moment, several experimenters' corpses lay scattered in the corridor, torn apart as if by some large wild beast. Although Evan Zhao doesn't know what they have encountered, one thing is certain: it is not safe here. Evan Zhao looked around, and then led Linnea Yang to a corner. At this moment, an encrypted alloy gate appeared ahead. He came to the side of the control room, and found that the door lock required facial recognition. Linnea Yang immediately showed a worried expression upon seeing this. What should we do now? If we turn back, we may encounter that terrifying dark figure. She had just finished speaking when Evan Zhao suddenly took out a scalpel. Then he turned and walked towards the corpse. What are you going to do? Linnea Yang's eyelids twitched, and she quickly followed behind. Evan Zhao did not answer. He just started to busily work on his own. After a while, he carried a head back here. Seeing this scene, Linnea Yang quickly hid to the side. Now she felt her stomach churning. She almost threw up. Facial recognition successful. As the voice fell, the heavy iron door slowly opened. Evan Zhao casually picked up the head and put it into his inventory. Ding! Obtained item, Heidi's head, quality, white. Heidi would never have thought that even after his death, he would encounter a psychopath who would not spare his only well-preserved head. After the alloy giant gate opened, 3 diverging paths appeared. Linnea Yang followed closely behind. The hand holding the gun had already started to sweat. Obviously, there were huge dangers in this underground laboratory. The two explored the path on the far right. The severed hand on the road was holding a special manuscript. My beloved Lena, I said I would go home to accompany you to play. Work is coming to an end. Father will be home in at most half a month. Rest assured, this time Dad will definitely make it back. Linnea Yang sighed helplessly upon reading the above content. He is a good father who loves his daughter. Evan Zhao replied lightly, Yes, he is a good father. But besides that, he may also be a serial killer. The deaths of thousands of people outside the school are likely connected to him. Linnea Yang was speechless upon hearing this. She suddenly felt no sympathy for this man at all. At this moment, there was a harsh scraping sound coming from the distant corner. The muscles of the two tightened in an instant. They cautiously walked towards the source of the sound. Then hold their breath and quietly observe the situation around the corner. In the next second, a white giant leg appeared in front of the two people. Hundreds of tentacles extended from the giant leg. At the top of the tentacles, there were deformed human heads the size of fists. Linnea Yang feels like she's not doing well at all. What the hell is this thing? It's so disgusting. But Evan Zhao next to her showed a look of fascination. What a beautiful creature. The audience outside the live broadcast room was instantly shocked. Damn, how is this thing beautiful? Suddenly I began to understand. Why did he get excited when he saw the female ghost in the last dungeon? Linnea Yang lost her composure a bit. So what should we do next to deal with this creature? We will, of course, proceed with caution. Evan Zhao then took out his own scalpel. Linnea Yang quickly lifted her own hunting rifle after hearing that. But at that moment, Evan Zhao had already rushed towards the fiend. Ding exclusive tip. The rampage of the mutation is extremely dangerous. It's only a half-finished product. It's not the slightest bit inferior to the quantum state outside. Weakness. Hemorrhoids on the buttocks. Obviously those lunatics were doing terrifying experiments. I didn't expect that mutation would also suffer from hemorrhoids due to long periods of sitting. At this moment, Fiend discovered Evan Zhao. He strode towards the target. Just as the two were about to meet, Evan Zhao suddenly pulled out Gramps' Lou's property title. He directly locked the Fiend in the black cell in front of him. During the 10 seconds when the Fiend was forcibly sealed, Evan Zhao went directly around it, and then made a slash on the hemorrhoid on its buttocks. The clouded space. The bloody red blood bloomed like a chrysanthemum. The body of the Fiend collapsed on the ground like rotten mud. Congratulations on killing the rampaging mutation. Your soul-bound weapon has absorbed the residual eldritch meme of the mutation, and is attempting to reconstruct the meme at 0.01%. Insufficient power to continue reconstruction. Your soul-bound weapon has gained a special ability called entanglement, which affects units harmed by your soul-bound weapon. The wounds will continuously grow into devourers, until the unit dies. The strength of the devourer is related to your power and level. Evan Zhao heard the name Eldritch Meme for the first time, although he doesn't know what it is. But Meme only reconstructs 1 in 1,000. It increased his power by 8 points, and also gained a special passive skill. Feeling very awesome. Linnea Yang behind her asked cautiously if it died. Evan Zhao chuckled and replied yes. It should have been a perfect creature, but unfortunately its creator was not very capable. As soon as the words fell, he took the scalpel and began to dissect it. But besides discovering that this fiend has 18 kidneys, he didn't find any useful clues. The two of them then continued walking along the passage. They found a huge cultivator at the end of the corridor. The nearby operating instruments have been stained red with blood. Evan Zhao pulled open the drawer underneath the instrument. He finally found a useful experimental log.